Welcome back, students. Let's continue with our chapter solution. Okay. So in the last class, we have studied about the solubility of solids in liquid and the solubility of gases in liquids, and also about the Henry's law, and seen some of the numericals related to that particular topic. Let's move on further and take today the vapor pressure, which is one of the important topic of your chapter solution. Okay. So first we are going to study what is vapor pressure. So let's see what is vapor pressure. Vapor pressure, when a liquid is allowed to evaporate in a closed vessel. Okay, when a liquid is allowed to evaporate in a closed vessel, part of the liquid evaporates and fills the available free space with the vapors of the liquid. Okay, since the vapors there leave the container, this gets collected in the vapor state above the surface of the liquid only, as the vapor cannot leave the container, as the vessel has been closed there, so no space is there to, for the vapors to go out. So the vapor there stays above the surface of the liquid there in a particular closed container. Due to this vaporization, the liquid changes into vapors and level of the liquid decreases there, as the evaporation is going out there, vaporization is going out there. So naturally the vapors which are produced out there, they will be producing out from the liquid which is present in that particular vessel only. So due to that reason, the level of the liquid will obviously decrease. As the evaporation proceeds, the number of the gases molecules in the vapor phase increases. Okay, as the time is passing on, the number of the gaseous molecules will be increased out there in the closed container there. Okay, and that will be increasing gradually. Now these molecules above at random in a limited space. Okay, as you can say that due to closed container, the space is very limited there, and due to this there can be random movement. There will be a random movement which are present in this particular vapors. Okay, which are present in this particular vapors. So this particular vapor strikes on the surface of the liquid. Okay, they strikes on the surface of the liquids, and when they strikes on the surface of the liquid, the temperature of that particular vapors will get down. Okay, they will get lowered, and due to that reason they will readily get condensed out there. Okay, they will get readily condensed out there. Now due to the process of this condensation there, the vapors which are present near the liquid surface, okay, it will act in the opposite direction to that of the process of evaporation here. Thus both the evaporation and condensation will be simultaneously happening here. Okay, as space is very limited here, so here the collision of the vapors and the liquid surface will be regularly here, and due to this reason the condensation and evaporation will also be simultaneously happening in this particular closed container here. Okay, a stage due to this process, simultaneous condensation and evaporation process, a stage is been reached out here when the rate of the evaporation here is equalized to the rate of the condensation here. Okay, here what will happen, the rate of the evaporation will equalize with the rate of the condensation here, and an equilibrium will be established between the liquid phase and the vapor phase here in this closed container. Okay, this due to this reason, as you know that fluids exert the pressure in all the directions. The molecules or the particles of the fluids exert the pressure in all the directions due to their random movement. So the pressure exerted by the vapors above the liquid surface here, okay, the pressure exerted by the vapors above the liquid surface here in equilibrium state with the liquid is here termed as, at a given temperature, is termed as vapor pressure. Okay, it is termed as vapor pressure. We can understand this thing by a simple example also. Let's say I am taking a bottle. Okay, I am taking a bottle. This is bottle for 1 liter. Okay, this is bottle for 1 liter, and I have filled it out about 75% of this bottle. I filled it with 75% water. It means that 750 ml of water will be there here, and I have capped it out. I have closed the cap. I have closed the cap. Now it has become a closed container. So what will happen here? The vaporization of the liquid will be going out here. Okay, the vaporization of the water will be going out here, and due to this reason the vapors will be filled out here. The vapors will be filled out here. Now after some time, what will happen? The vapors value will increase such that the whole of the free space which was present here, it will be filled up by the vapor. It will filled up by the vapor. Okay, this dot is showing the vapors and the lines are showing here the liquids. So the line here at the okay, so here in this bottle, what we have done, we have taken 750 ml of water. Okay, and the uppermost layer here is the for liquid, and the dot are showing the phase vapor phase here. Okay, these are showing the vapor phase. Now after some time, what will happen? The vapors amount will increase that much that the vapors will be coming into contact with the uppermost surface of the liquid, and due to that reason the condensation will be going out there. But with this condensation process, the evaporation process is also continuously going out there, and both the simultaneous process, evaporation and condensation, will be going out there. So a particular time will be obtained, a particular time will be attained when the evaporation will become in equilibrium state with the condensation. Okay, so during this particular stage, when the evaporation process here in this closed container will attain the equilibrium with the condensation process here, at that time the pressure, okay, we know that all the fluids exert pressures, okay, in all the directions or in all on the walls of the container in which they are kept on. So here you can see that at the upside the container is there, so they can apply the pressure on the container's wall, but at the downside here the liquid's surface is there. So what will happen? The vapor will naturally exert the pressure on this surface of the liquid also. Okay, and the pressure which is exerted on the surface of this liquid, that is termed as the vapor pressure. Okay, that is termed as the vapor pressure. So now the vapor pressure is the important thing which we are going to study here, and all the numericals will be there also for related to this vapor pressure, and the Raoult law is also there which is related to this vapor pressure only. And after this we are going to study about the colligative properties, which is also a important part of this particular chapter, and which is also based on this vapor pressure only. So let's move further and continue with this part. So here I have defined you with the vapor pressure. Okay, after this let's move further. Next, what are some of the factors which are going to affect the vapor pressure of a liquid? Okay, what are some of the factors which are going to affect the vapor pressure of the liquid? First, the nature of the liquid. The nature of the liquid. Each liquid has a characteristic vapor pressure. Every liquid has a different vapor pressure characteristic, because each liquid has a different magnitude of intermolecular forces between them. Some are more viscous, some liquids are more dense than other. So since the viscosity is high there, so what will happen? The intermolecular force will be higher, and due to that reason the vapor pressure will be lower there, because the evaporation rate will be there very much lower as comparison to that of the less viscous liquids there. Okay, the liquids which are having weaker intermolecular forces tend to escape readily into vapors. Okay, as I have told you before also that the more viscous liquids having more intermolecular forces between them, so they will not readily convert into vapor, while the liquids which are less viscous and they are having lower intermolecular forces between them, then they will they will easily convert into vapor phase. They will easily evaporate into vapors and has greater vapor pressure, and they will have greater vapor pressure. For example, if I am comparing diethyl ether and alcohol with water, okay, with water, then we will see that the diethyl ether and alcohol will be having higher vapor pressure as comparison to that of the water. Why? Because the water is more viscous than alcohol and ether here. Okay, and due to this reason only, the intermolecular force of water is also higher than that of the ether and water, and ether and alcohol, and hence what will happen at a given temperature you will see that the ether and alcohol will be having higher vapor pressure as comparison to that of the water. Okay, as you all know that presently you are using that what we call it sanitizers. So these sanitizers, as you spray the sanitizer on your hand and you rub that for 5 to 6 seconds, what happens? It readily gets evaporated in the air. But if you are taking water, then it takes more time to get evaporated. Okay, it takes about 1 minute, about 1 minute. Not I'm considering that value as pretty much correct value, but I'm taking an example that it will take more than 1 minute to get evaporated water from our hand. But the sanitizer gets evaporated in 4 to 5 seconds after rubbing in our hand. Okay, so here that sanitizer is what? That is alcohol only, isopropyl alcohol only. Okay, so that alcohol gets easily vaporized, okay, in the air. So hence that can be easily determined that the nature of the liquid is highly affecting the vapor pressure. Okay, next, temperature. obviously the vapor pressure will be highly depending on the temperature, because as we are increasing the temperature of the liquid, the vapor pressure of the liquid will also be increasing, because as we are increasing the temperature, the intermolecular force of the liquid will get decreased, and due to that reason the vapor formation will be increased out, and hence as the vapor is formed more, the vapor pressure will also be increased out there. What is the reason behind that? As we are heating or we are increasing the temperature, then the kinetic energies of the molecules present in the liquids will also increase, and due to this reason a large number of molecules will escape from the surface of liquid to form the vapor. Okay, and hence more vapor is forming out there, so the more amount of vapor pressure will be exerted on the liquid surface there. So hence temperature is also an important factor which can affect the vapor pressure of a liquid. Next, vapor pressure of a liquid solution. Okay, vapor pressure of a liquid. First, before that, I want to give you in your mind that two types of solutes are there. If I am going to classify the solutes, then two types of solutes are there. One is volatile solute, and one is the non-volatile solute. The volatile solutes can be either gases or liquids. Okay, they can be either gases or liquids. And the non-volatile solutes are generally solids, but they can be liquids also. Some of the liquids are also non-volatile solutes. Okay, so what are these volatile and non-volatile solutes? Volatile solutes are the solutes which are having very volatile nature. It means that they can readily convert into vapors. And when this type of solutes are being dissolved in a solvent, then naturally the vapor pressure there will be increased. Okay, and non-volatile solutes, what are non-volatile solutes? So the non-volatile solutes are the solutes which does not readily, or even they very sparsely convert into vapor. Okay, they very sparsely convert into vapor, and if they are not converting into vapor, then what will happen? They will affect the vapor pressure there. Okay, so hence it was important to make you understand about this volatile solute and non-volatile solute, because after this thing only you are going to understand the further part of the particular chapter. Okay, let's move back to the lecture. So here first we are discussing about the vapor pressure of liquid solution. Okay, here we are taking a solution of liquid and we are going to discuss about the vapor pressure here. So when we are taking a binary solution of two volatile liquids, okay, see, I have told you about this volatile things now. So if I am taking two volatile liquids, one will be solute there and one will be solvent there. Okay, two volatile liquids has been taken out and it is a binary solution. Only two substances are present there in a closed vessel. In a closed vessel, both the components will evaporate and eventually an equilibrium would be established between the vapor phase and the liquid phase there. For this particular condition, Francois Martin Raoult, okay, a French chemist, Francois Martin Raoult, in 1886 has given a quantitative relationship between the partial pressure, okay, partial pressure and the mole fraction of the two components which are being given out there. Let's first discuss about this partial pressure, then we will move further. So let us take an example here. I am taking a container. In this container, I have taken a volatile solute. And in this volatile solute, what I have done? I have mixed up a volatile solute. I have taken a volatile solvent, and in this volatile solvent, I have taken a volatile solute. Means volatile solute is been dissolved in a volatile solvent here. And I have capped this particular container. Now what will happen? The vapor formation here, it will be there. Okay, we will see vapor formation here. And due to this vapor formation, the equilibrium state will be attained out here. This blue line is showing the vapor formation. And due to this evaporation and condensation here, after some time the equilibrium will be found out here, and after the formation of equilibrium here, the vapors will be exerting the pressure on the liquid surface. Okay, the vapor will be exerting the pressure on the liquid surface. So let's say the volatile solute is here, it is termed as A, and the volatile solvent is termed as B here. Okay, and both these A and B are forming the solution. So the alone volatile solute A will be having some pressure, will be having some of its vapor pressure. So let that pressure to be denoted by PA, small pa, and this pressure is known as partial pressure. No, not partial pressure. This is the individual pressure. Okay, presently it will not called as partial pressure. Okay, so that volatile solute alone's vapor pressure was P, and the volatile solvents, which is termed here as B, its vapor pressure is taken as PV. Okay, but when they are mixed together to form a solution there, then in this particular solution, what will be happened out? A new vapor pressure will be formed out there. A new vapor pressure will be formed out there due to the combination of these two, volatile solute and solvent here. So that particular vapor pressure will be called as total vapor pressure of solution, and which will be depending on whom? The PA and PB. They will be depending on the PA and PB, and this PA and PB for this particular total vapor pressure of the solution will be called as partial pressure. Okay, they will be called as the partial pressure of the components. They will be termed as the partial pressure of components here. Okay, so the Raoult has given a particular relation between this total pressure of the solution and the vapor pressure of the particular component, the partial pressure of the particular components present in that particular solution. Okay, so what was the statement which has been made by Raoult? Let's see that. At a given temperature, okay, Raoult has said that at a given temperature, for a solution of volatile liquids, the partial pressure of each component, in solution is equal to the product of the vapor pressure, product of the vapor pressure of the pure components. Okay, as I have told you, for volatile solute only A, the pressure was PA, and for only volatile solvent B, the vapor pressure was PB. Okay, so for that vapor pressure we have to consider here, and its mole fraction product will be the equal to the partial vapor pressure. Okay, it will be equal to the partial vapor pressure here. Okay, now consider a binary solution here. Okay, consider a binary solution here where A and B are the two components, where A can be volatile solute and B can be volatile solvent here. And the mole fraction, as you have studied about mole fraction in the previous class 11th also, the mole fraction was equals to mole of A divided by total mole of the components. Okay, and for B it will be equals to mole of B divided by the total moles of the component. Okay, so this is the formula for your mole fraction. So if XA and XB, chi A and chi B are the mole fraction of A and B, then and PA and PB are the vapor pressure of the pure components. Okay, vapor pressure of the pure components, then the formula can be termed as PA is equals to PA into chi A, and PB, the partial pressure of B component, can be termed as PB into chi B. Okay, PB into chi B. This is the relation. Okay, now moving further, if I am seeing here, and for a volatile solute and volatile solvent, if both the components are sorry, let's first conclude this for the total pressure. Now for the total vapor pressure of the solution here, it will be equals to P is equals to PA plus PB. Okay, so PA's value was PA into XA and PB into XB. So here we can write it. But as we know that for a particular given mixture, chi A plus chi B will be equals to 1. Chi A plus chi B is equals to 1. So here I can write that chi A is equals to 1 minus chi B. Okay, put this value here in the place of chi A. So here we will get PA into 1 minus chi B. Okay, I can write that thing here. Now multiplying here and solving this thing, we will get at last that the total vapor pressure of the liquid can be equals to PA minus chi B into PB minus PA. Okay, so here we can relate this thing, that the total vapor pressure over the solution can be related to the mole fraction of any one. Okay, mole fraction of the any one of the given value. As I have converted here the mole fraction in the form of B only. Okay, so any one of the mole fraction is given, then we can easily connect it with the total vapor pressure of the solution. Next, the total vapor pressure of the solution varies linearly with the mole fraction of the component, because PA and PB are constant, also depending on the vapor pressure of the pure components A and B. Okay, the total vapor pressure of the solution will also decrease or increase. If there is more vapor pressure for A and B, then the total vapor pressure will be also increased. If there is lesser vapor pressure of any one of the component, then the vapor pressure of the total solution will also increase out here. Okay. Next, the total vapor pressure is a linear function to the mole fraction of XA or XB, which can be termed as XA is equals to 1 minus XB or XB is equals to 1 minus XA, because PA and PB, these both are constant at a particular temperature. It cannot be changed at a particular temperature. So here the main thing which can be changed out here is the mole fraction. Now if I am considering this diagram here, okay, so on the basis of this diagram, here you can see that this was the pure partial pressure for A substance, and this was the pure partial pressure for B substance. Okay, this was the pure partial pressure for B substance here. So here the partial pressure for A, and this is the partial pressure for B. Okay, but when we have mixed these two, when we have mixed these two, then we will see that the total partial pressure is denoted by this particular line. So here the partial pressure has been increased out. You can see that the partial pressure has been increased out in case of volatile, solute and volatile solvent. Both are volatile here. Okay, so volatile solute and volatile solvent here, you will see that the final partial pressure or the total partial pressure is in a increased value. Okay, it is increased out here, and this increasing is done on the basis of this nature of the solute. Okay, on the basis of this nature of solute and solvent here, because both are volatile here, so the total partial pressure will also increase out here, and this is shown by this line here. Okay, this line here. So here the dotted line gives the partial pressure of the two components versus the composition, and the solid line gives the vapor pressure of the pressure versus the composition. Okay, according to the Raoult's law, here the partial vapor pressure of two components A and B of a solution are given as PA is equals to, this is the partial vapor pressure of a solution, PA is equals to PA into chi A and PB into chi B. Okay, this is for your, and here this not sign, PA not, this shows the partial pressure of pure component A. Okay, or the initial partial pressure. In other words, we can call it as the initial partial pressure also. Okay, also with some of the conditions. First condition is that if the mole fraction for A substance is 1, then what will happen? The partial pressure for A will become equal to that of the initial partial pressure of the A component. Similarly, if mole fraction of A is equals to 0, then the partial pressure for A will become 0. Okay, the partial pressure of the A component in the liquid will become 0, and the purely the liquid will be there for the B component only. The solution will be of the B component only. Thus, the vapor pressure of such solution is either higher or lower than the predicted by Raoult's law. For the given two conditions here, the vapor pressure of such solutions can either be higher or they can either be lower. Okay, when they will be lower, when the second condition is there, and when they will be higher, when the first condition is there. Okay, so here the Raoult's law can be falsed out here in these particular conditions. Thus, the plot of P against XA should be given a straight line passing through PA naught when XA is equals to 1 and 0 when XA is equals to 0. Similarly, when the liquid is pure, XA is equals to 1, its vapor pressure is equal to PA naught, and as component B is added to component A, XA or the chi A or the mole fraction of A decreases. Thus, the vapor pressure decreases till it becomes 0 when XA becomes 0 there. Okay, here you can see that if I am going from up to down here, then XA will become 0 here. If I am going up to down here, you can see that the XA is 0 here, and here you can see that the XB is 0 here. So we can come here deliberately when we can change the mole fraction of the particular component in our given solution. Okay, let's move further. The variation here of the partial pressure of component B with its mole fraction is represented by plotting the graph X naught B, that is PB is equals to PB naught into 0, which will be equals to 0, and X chi B is equals to 1, then PB is equals to PB naught. Similarly, as comparison to that of the A component we have talked about before. Now, the total vapor pressure P exerted by the solution at the whole at any composition is given by the sum of the partial vapor pressure according to Dalton's law of partial pressure. Okay, so Dalton's law of partial pressure was in the class 11th you have studied about this, the partial pressure, the Dalton's law of partial pressure. So the Dalton's law of partial pressure was P is equals to PA plus PB, where P and PB were the partial pressure of the given components there. So P and PB were PA into XA plus PB into XB. Okay, so hence this is your Dalton's law of partial vapor pressure. Okay, now vapor pressure of a solid in a liquid, we will discuss this particular topic in the next class. Okay, so up till here I have given you the vapor pressure of a liquid in a liquid solution. Okay, volatile liquid in a volatile liquid solvent here. and we have discussed about the Raoult's law on the basis of this particular volatile liquid on a volatile liquid solvent condition. The second condition which we are going to discuss in the next class, it will be the solid solute in a liquid solvent. Okay, the solid solute in a liquid solvent, as I have told you before also that solids are generally non-volatile solutes. Okay, so the next condition will be non-volatile solute with a volatile solvent. Okay, so for this class I am ending the class here only, and we will continue our class further in the next lecture. Okay, so thank you for watching this. We will continue in the next class. Thank you.